we discussed yesterday about the chapter number 1. Today we will talk about the second unit, that is 1950, the same part we are discussing, 1950 to 1990. 2.1. See, there is a box. See, I suggest one important thing. Whenever there are boxes being given in giving some content, make some effort to read that box and always highlight boxes in the NCERTs. See, there are a few mains questions which were asked from these boxes. Naming of cyclones were picked from these school books, okay, and they were actually given in one of the box of the NCERTs, and they have asked the direct questions. That was asked for 10 marks. So never miss any of the box. The central objective of planning in India is to initiate a process of development which will raise the living standards and open out to the people new opportunities for a richer and a more varied life. Basically, the objective of the first 5-year plan is to develop the agriculture sector. Developing the agriculture sector is a major objective of the first 5-year plan, because first 5-year plan started from 1951, okay, and from 1951 it went on to 1956. So 5 years we have 3 important projects which was developed. First one is Mettur, second one is Bakranangal, third one is Hirakud. Okay, Mettur on river Kaveri, Tamil Nadu region. Okay, Hirakud, Odisha, Mahanadi river, and Bakranangal in and around of Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh on river Sutlej. 3 important irrigation projects which we have initiated earlier. So that 3 important projects gave us a very good result in increasing the production activity with respect to the agriculture sector. So Mettur, Bakranangal and Hirakud. One is in Odisha, one is in Tamil Nadu, other one is in Himachal Pradesh. One is on river Kaveri, one is on Mahanadi, other one is on river Sutlej. On 15th August 1947, India woke to a new dawn of freedom. Finally, we were masters of our own destiny after some 200 years of British rule. The job of nation building was now in our own hands, because when the Britishers left, we have studied in the previous session, when the Britishers has left, how we have been exploited, okay, how the trade has been utilized for their own benefits. Next. So in the background, we have to now build the nation. The leaders of the independent India had to decide, among other things, the type of economic system more suitable for our nation. A system which would promote the welfare of all rather than a few. Welfareness of all means what? See, we will always talk about decentralized planning in India. Decentralized planning means what all the planning you are doing it, you are considering the local bodies, because this people are directly linked to the local bodies. What are local bodies? Panchayats and municipalities. If you are in urban areas, you are linked to the municipalities. If you are in the rural, you will be linked to the panchayats. 73rd and 74th amendments. Now, what all you make planning? The planning is been made as of now by Niti Aayog, earlier by Planning Commission, plus Niti Aayog come up with so many initiatives implementing those initiatives, so that those initiatives will reach to the decentralized, that is the local bodies, panchayat and the municipalities. So earlier when we have a planning commission, always remember we used to follow top to bottom model, but we are having now Niti Aayog, we follow bottom to top model. Okay, what is the meaning of top to bottom and bottom to top? Bottom to top means we are considering the requirements what are being initiated or what have been taken, what are the necessary requirements in the local bodies. Local bodies requirements will be taken care by the state governments. State government's requirements will be taken by the central government. This is called as bottom to top. Top to bottom earlier we used to follow, not exactly understanding what is the requirement of the local bodies, and hence the growth of local bodies was not up to the mark. Growth of local bodies was not up to the mark means what? Requirements at the ground level, water, sanitation, education, health, this would have been not up to the mark. That is the reason Niti Aayog was, Niti Aayog was instituted in the place of the Planning Commission. It follows bottom to top model. Second, it has three important principles. First important principle is cooperative federalism. There should be cooperation between central and the state. Second one is competitive federalism. There should be a competition between the states. Third one is competitive sub-federalism. Competitive sub-federalism means there should be a competition in the local bodies. That means when Niti Aayog has replaced the planning commission, more importance has been given to the local bodies. So out of this, what are the important keywords? First is bottom to top approach model, which the Niti Aayog is following. Second and very important thing you have to remember, three important principles it is based upon. One is cooperative federalism. Second one is competitive federalism. Third one is competitive sub-federalism. Next important, there are different types of economic system, and among them socialism appealed to the Jawaharlal Nehru the most. Socialism means it will talk about welfareness. Capitalism means it will talk about the profit motive. Welfareness on one side, profit motive on one side. So India follows mixed economy. Mixed model means a mixture of socialist principles, welfareness of society, plus capitalistic principles based on the profit motive, giving higher responsibilities to the private, etc. Next, however, he was not in favor of the kind of socialism established in the USSR, where all the means of production, that is, all the factories and the farms in the country, were owned by the government. There was no private property. It is not possible in a democracy like India for the government to change the ownership pattern of land and other properties of its citizens in the way that it was done in the former Soviet Union. Soviet Union earlier, elsewhere Russia, used to follow completely the socialistic principles. India cannot fix completely on the socialist principles. We have already discussed two elements. One is growth on one side, development on other side. Growth is quantitative, development is qualitative. One is economical point of view, other one is sociological point of view. We are targeting economical point of view so that this economy can reach to the sociological benefits. We cannot target only one element. We have targeted one element that is going to benefit the other element. That's the reason we are going parallelly with respect to growth and development. What is India? India is a country which has targeted to improve its growth so that it can achieve the development. So we want a growth with development. So growth is giving a development. So we don't follow exactly the model of capitalist. We don't follow exactly the model of a socialist. Rather, we follow mixed model. Next, Nehru and many other leaders and thinkers of the newly independent India sought an alternative to extreme visions of capitalism and socialism. So we are not going extreme with respect to capitalist and socialist. We are trying to follow the mix. Basically, sympathizing with the socialist outlook, they found the answer in economic system which in the view combined the best feature of socialism without its drawback. In this view, India would be socialist society with a stronger public sector, but also with the private property and democracy. The government would plan for the economy with the private sector being encouraged to be part of the plan effort. Industrial Policy Resolution of 1948 and Directory Principles of the Indian Constitution reflected this outlook. Okay, directly principles of Industrial Policy Resolution means in this we targeted few industries, promotion of certain industries, iron and ore, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, okay, coal based industries, natural gas based industries. These are the industries we slowly started giving license so that these industries can be promoted in our country and these industries can generate job. These industries can reduce on other countries. That is reduction, that is the dependence on other countries can come down. So these are the industries basically which have been targeted. Slowly they were given license which can actually result in good development of infrastructure, promotion, non-dependence on other countries. Because 1948 means just we have got independence and we also know that Britishers have left. We have seen the exploitative nature, okay, in the previous sessions. So we are not going to depend on anyone. We are going to frame rules, regulations which are going to benefit ourselves. In 1915, the Planning Commission was set up with the Prime Minister as the chairman. The era of 5-year plans has begun. Next, what are the goals of the 5-year plans? Here we have to read about two important boxes. The first box was work these out. We are not going to discuss this. Types of economical systems. So, one answer to the above questions. What are the questions are there? One out of these questions is like market forces of the supply and demand. We have been repeating this term, natural forces, market forces. Natural forces, market forces, both basically depend on supply and demand criteria. Okay. In a market economy, also called as capitalism, only those consumer goods will be produced that are in demand. That is, goods that can be sold profitably either in the domestic or in the foreign market. See, when the capitalist comes into picture, industrial minds comes into the picture, what this set of people will do, they will introduce goods, they will introduce the market system in such a way that I want you people to produce those goods. Okay, production of those goods will be possible considering what? Supply and demand. Whichever is in demand. For example, agriculture, soya bean is in demand, cotton is been in demand, sugarcane, jute is in demand. I suggest the farmers to produce only these goods. Apart from this, I will ask other set of goods like textiles, electronics, which are always in demand. Recurring goods. That means the goods are always in demand. The goods are cyclical. They will continuously they are produced, and hence the private sector will try to be in a conclusion stating produce only this set of goods. How about the other set of people who used to produce handicrafts, textiles, khadi, village based industries? Who should promote this? So that is the reason there are a lot of challenges if the government is not involved. That is the reason we follow mixed model. Model number 1, welfareness. Model number 2, capitalism. So both kind of things we call it as a mixed model, where private is also been allowed for the profit motive, government is also been given having a greater role controlling the private and also welfareness of the people. That is the reason India follows a mixed economy model. Now, very basic definitions, very basic like points are given. If cars are in demand, cars will be produced. If bicycles are in demand, bicycles will be produced. These are basically demand based. In a capitalist society, the goods produced are distributed among the people not on the basis of what people need, but on the basis of purchasing power. That is the ability to buy goods and services. It also considers your capability. What is your capability? Your capability of making investments in the good, your capability of making you to invest more in the goods, so that if you can invest, if I create some demand, I can actually get more profit in this. That is one, to have the money in the pocket to buy it. Low cost housing for the poor is much needed but will not count as demand in the market sense, because the poor do not have the purchasing power to back the demand. As a result, this commodity will not be produced and supplied as per the market forces. Such a society did not appeal to Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, for it meant that the great majority of the people of the country would be left behind without the chance to improve their quality of life. How should we improve the quality of life? Understanding the demand of the people, understanding the demand of the society is what makes the quality of life. I should understand what my people needs. My people basic essentials are food, basic essentials are clothing and shelter. First I should make them satisfied, because you people have ruled for a long period of time, exploited our resources, left us in the absolute poverty. So what should I do? My people should not sleep without a single meal should be my target. Introduce a system where I can produce goods and store those goods, distribute those goods in the market. Example, PDS, public distribution system, where farmers who are producing the goods will be benefited, and the consumers who are consuming, that could also be some sort of affordability in terms of the prices. This is called as what? Agriculture price policy. One side you balance the farmers, other side you balance consumers. That is a mutualism. And here, quality of life. How should I improve the quality of life? I should understand what they need. Food is what they need. Distribute food first. Government is distributing land now. Government is distributing constructed houses now. Government is distributing subsidies now. Plans, programs, welfareness, because I know you require this. Okay, and the basis of which I started going to produce and distribute things because of creating welfareness, improving the quality of life in the country. Socialist society answers three questions in a totally different manner. In a socialist society, the government decide what goods are to be produced in accordance with the needs of the society. This is very important point. Two types of society: capitalist society, socialist society. Socialist society, I will understand what are the needs of my people, what are the needs of society, what is the basic need I have to give to the people. What basic needs you people require? Food is a basic essential thing, staple things which you basically require: a place to live, a place to cultivate. So we brought land reforms, we brought agriculture price policy, we have made so many reforms so that these things can be distributed uniformly to the landless or the poor people, BPL families, weaker sections, etc. India at the time when we have got independence, the condition of the economy was very worst. And now you compare the condition of the economy, it has improved. And now we are in top 5. So the Prime Minister of India said India is going to leap to rank 3 very soon. That means qualitatively we will also reach with quantitative. Anyways, we are going 3, which means your economy is going to be 3, then it is going to be quantitatively, that is economical point of view, you will grow. But the day is not far, qualitative life will also reach to large section of the people. This is called as inclusive growth. What is the meaning of inclusive growth? Inclusive growth means growth which will reach all the sections of the society. This is called as inclusive growth. GDP is growing, but the fruits of GDP has to reach to masses. Every individual should benefit from the single percent. If the GDP grows a single percentage, even that single percentage, the fruits of single percentage has to be reached to the different sections of the society. Targeting physically handicapped, targeting single women, targeting the diverse, targeting the old age, targeting the orphans. So inclusive growth means what? Growth which reaches to everyone in the society. A socialist society answers three questions in a totally different manner. In a socialist society, the government decides what goods are to be produced in accordance with the needs of the society. It is assumed that the government knows what is good for the people of the country, and so the desires of the individual consumers are not given much importance. The government decides how goods are to be produced and how they should be distributed. A best example of this is APP. Under APP, we are procuring via minimum support prices. I have explained very clearly so many times. MSP includes 25 crops. Why did we include 25 crops? Why it is not 30 crops, 35 crops? Because so many parameters are added in that, considering first welfareness, distribution, procurement, okay, PDS. These food crops are being added under PDS. Second, domestic demand, international demand, welfareness of the farmers also, okay, satisfying the demand of the BPL of families also, market demand, international demand. This made me to put 25 crops in the MSP. That's why when we talk about MSP, we talk about the few crops which has varied parameters. Varied parameters means what? They are included in the MSP because every crop has its own significance. Jute has significance, sugarcane has significance, all right, then millets has significance, rice has significance, wheat has significance. Every crop has significance. That's the reason the crops which are very much in demand, the crops which are very much important to me, I have added those. But it is not backed by a law. Today I can add, tomorrow I can remove, or tomorrow if the people are demanding some other crops, then there's a lot of chances MSP could become 26 to 30 again. Okay? Chalo, next. Unlike under capitalism, for example, a socialist nation provides free health care. Strictly, a socialist society has no private property since everything is owned by the state. Private property responsibility is very, very, very zero. That means everything will be undertaken care by the government. Public property it could be. In Cuba, China, for example, most of the economic activities are governed by the socialistic principles. Socialistic principles, but they did not stick for long period of time. Because of the government, the change of the visions, etc., they rather again shifted back to their principles of capitalism. Most economies are mixed economies. So underline this, mixed economies. That is, the government and the market together answer the three questions of what to produce, how to produce, and how to distribute what is produced. Now highlight every question. The government and the market together answer. Now mixed economy. Mixed economy means what? Here you have to consider two things. The government and the market. The government and the market. The government means what? Welfareness. Government means what? Socialistic partner, etc. And the market means what? Market means profit motive. Market means supply and demand. Market means capitalist mindset. So all this comes under the market. So here mixed economy, mixed model means it's a combination of socialistic plus capitalist. So here first question, what to produce? What to produce? Government is deciding what to produce. How to produce? How to produce? In which season it needs to be produced? How it has to be produced? What mechanism you are taking? Next, how to distribute? You're distributing via PDS, public distribution system, so that people can buy at the lower prices. And how to distribute what is produced? In a mixed economy, the market will provide whatever goods and services it can produce well, and the government will provide essential goods and services which the market fails to do. The market will never satisfy the demand of the weaker sections. Market will never satisfy the demand of the needy. Then the demand of the needy is what? Basic health facilities, education facilities, okay, basic public facilities like a library, like roads, drinking water, sanitation, distribution of school books, uniforms, basic essentials, availability of drugs, okay, the medicines, etc., the vaccines, etc. So these comes under welfare. It's a responsibility of the government. Nowhere, never we would have heard that the private is distributing something free of cost. Private is distributing at the subsidized prices. Nowhere. Even the private has reduced the prices. It is only to attract what? The demand. But the government never considers about the demand. Government never considers about the market forces. Government only considers about the welfareness. Next. The plan spells out how the resources of the nation should be put to use. It should have some general goals as well as the specific objectives which are to be achieved within a specific period of time. In India, plans were of 5-year duration and were called the 5-year plans. We borrowed it from, underline this, planning we have borrowed it from Soviet or USSR, right on there. It is the pioneer in the national planning. So who is the pioneer of national planning? Then what will, yes, we have borrowed those models, adopted those models. Our plan documents up to year 2017 not only specify the objectives to be attained in the 5 years of a plan, but also what to be achieved over a period of 20 years. That means a vision. So write down there, it's a vision. 20 years vision, 15 years vision, etc. This long-term plan is called as a perspective plan. Underline. Perspective plan means what? A plan which is with a vision. So write down, perspective plan is a plan which is for the long term, and that is with a vision. It will be unrealistic to expect all the goals of the plan to be given equal importance in all the plans. In fact, the goals may actually be in a conflict. For example, the goals of introducing modern technology may be in conflict with the goals of increasing employment if the technology reduces the need for the labor. The planners have to balance the goal, a very difficult job indeed. Okay, this is very simple. India's 5-year plan did not spell out how much of each and every goods and services is to be produced. This is neither possible nor necessary. The former Soviet Union tried to do this and failed. It is enough if the plan is specified about the sectors where it plays a commanding role, for the instance power generation and irrigation, while leaving the rest to the market. See, the intention of these two important paragraphs stays. There are so many plans you have come up. For example, we have made 12 5-year plans. When we made 12 5-year plans, every plan has some target, every plan has some achievements. Few of the plans, the targets we have exceeded, Okay, and few of the plans we fail to achieve the targets. Fail to achieve the targets could be because of the wars, could be natural issues, could be because of the droughts, could be because of some emergency, could be because of economic crisis, could be because of the political crisis. So there are so many factors which made us to fail in reaching the targets. This was actually asked in your exam. Reasons for most of the targets not to met. So what are the reasons? Political issues are there? Yes. Economical issues are there? Yes. Recession was there? Yes. Economic crisis was there? Yes. Wars you have faced? Yes. Border issues you have faced? Yes. Emergency crisis? Yes. So these are so many factors which we have met. But you have to remember, every plan we have come up, every plan has its targets. It targets means what? Every plan talks about education, agriculture. There is no such plan which it won't talk anything about agriculture. There is no such plan which will not define anything about industries. No plan, it will not talk anything about poverty. It's very difficult. But every plan has come up with tuning things. Overlapping will be there. Education was there. For example, Garibi Hatao, 5th 5-year plan. Garibi Hatao means what? Removal of poverty. It doesn't mean in the first few plans we never spoke about poverty. We had clearly defined about poverty. But specifically in few plans we will give more importance. For example, Garibi Hatao, removal of poverty, even this was asked in the exam. The goals of 5-year plan. A plan should have come clearly specified with the goals. The goals of 5-year plans were growth, modernization, self-reliance and equity. Self-reliance means, as of now, earlier we used to use this term self-reliance, but now we are calling this term as Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat we have discussed many times. That is depending on ourselves rather than depending on other countries or the foreign countries. Self-reliance is also similar. We are depending on ourselves. We are depending on ourselves, not depending on other countries. This does not mean that all the plans have given equal importance to all the goals. Due to the limited resources, a choice has been made in the each plan about which of the goals is to be given primary importance. Nevertheless, the planners have to ensure that as far as possible the policies of the plans do not contradict these 4 goals. Okay, the 4 goals you have written. You have highlighted 4 goals. First one is growth, second one is modernization, third one is self-reliance, and fourth one is equity. On the nearby paragraph, only the last paragraph, you have this 4 important goals. So here the paragraph says what all you have brought, what all targets you are going to make, you have never compromised on the goals. So we have important goals. First one is growth. What is growth? A fundamental change and improvement, okay, or any sort of quantitative change we could see is called as a growth. It refers to increase in the country's capacity to produce the output of goods and services within a country. What he is talking about? He is basically talking about GDP. How do you measure growth in our country? Making use of GDP. Now what is GDP? Total final value of all goods and services produced in a country in a given period of time is called as a GDP. Now growth, it refers to increase. What is growth? If the growth is positive, it is increase. If the growth is negative, it is negative growth rate. If this negative growth rate continues, then we call it as what? First comes slowdown, next comes negative growth rate. If it continues, then it fall into recession. And recession, if it continues, it will fall into worst case, that is depression. Okay, it will go on. So it implies either a larger stock of productive capital or a larger size of supporting services like transport and banking, or an increase in the efficiency of productive capital and services. Productive capital means what? The good which can be utilized for the production process of further goods. So India should be in a position to make capital goods. These capital goods acts as a very important inputs to produce the further goods. So India should be in that position. That is what we have targeted since 1950. A good indicator of the economic growth in the language of economics is GDP. The GDP is the market value of all the final goods produced in the country during a year. This is a basic definition. We have studied a number of times what is the definition of GDP. We have broken GDP into many parts, and we have studied what is the domestic product, what is the foreign product, etc. Domestic product means product produced in India. That is territorial limit. And that product would have been produced by Indian or it would have been produced by foreigner. But the production should have been happened in India. And foreign good is completely different. Foreign good means the good which is imported or it is being produced in other country. You have studied the concept in class 10th as well. Okay, thank you. You can think of the GDP as a cake and growth in the increase in the size of the cake. If the cake is larger, more people can enjoy it. Definitely right. The cake is larger, more people will enjoy. But the person like me will never allow others to enjoy. So it is necessary to produce more goods and services. To produce more goods and services, the people of India are to enjoy, in the words of the first 5-year plan, a more rich and a varied life. This is what India wants. India wants the basic essentials should reach everyone. Basic essentials are sanitation, hygiene, drinking water. Okay, basic essentials are minimum schooling, minimum standard of living, minimum expenditures which you can survive. So that is what India first requires. Because first satisfying these things, then you adopt new technology, promote technology, etc. See, we have introduced many important concepts. One among them is smart city. Could you please tell me what is the definition of smart city? What is smart city? You would have studied what is smart city. You would have like come across many of the time. What is smart city? What is smart city? Economy. Economy. Okay, so good. Tell me, what is smart city? You got your book? Okay. What is smart city? What is the meaning of smart city? A city with all basics, like NCERT is. Resources, availability of resources, good technology, etc. is smart city. Okay, listen. If someone asks you smart city, never ever answer in this way. Like you should have this facilities, you should have some technology, you should have upgradation. No, you should give a very simple definition. Simple definition of a smart city is a city which will utilize the resources which it has. Is called as a smart city in a very efficient manner. The resources which you have that needs to be utilized by the city in a very efficient manner is a smart city. Then you upgrade with technology. Then you upgrade with infrastructure. This is called as a smart city. Smart city is a city which will utilize the existing resources very smartly, very efficiently. If you are unable to utilize that resources, add technology to utilize the existing resources. This is called a smart city. When I ask question about smart city, people answer like, sir, technology needs to be upgraded. Lot of technology is smart city. No, this is not smart city. What's the definition of a smart city? At least you should tell it correct way. Utilizing the resources which are in existence in a very smart manner and effectively, efficiently. If you are unable to do, add technology to explore the existing resources in a very smart way. This is called a smart city. Clear? Next. We are done with this cakes, etc. GDP of a country is derived from the different sectors. That is very much true. Derived from the different sectors of the economy, namely the agriculture sector, the industrial and the service sector. The contribution made by each of this sector makes up the structural composition of the economy. How is our structure of the economy? It is bounded by three important sectors. One is the primary, secondary and tertiary. So do you think in GDP it is only agriculture which is performing? Definitely no. So in calculation of GVA, we discuss the calculations of GVA, we discuss the calculations of GDP. In the calculations of GVA, we discuss what is the difference between GVA and GDP. One is talking about sector wise. So which talks about sector wise? GVA talks about sector wise. So when GVA is talking about sector wise, do we take all the sectors or only important sectors? If it is important sectors, we'll take only agriculture. We never do that. All the sectors, primary, secondary and tertiary is quite important, not leaving any of the sector. This GVA, that is compounded of all the sectors, will give you GDP. Now read. Structural composition of the economy, the contribution made by each of these sectors. Any sector it could be, that could be industrial, agriculture, etc. That will make a structural composition. So please underline structural composition of the economy. He will ask you very simple question sometimes in economy. What is the structural composition in economy? Structural composition means in the calculations of the growth, we make use of all the three sectors in the economy. That is the primary, secondary and tertiary. See, it looks very simple. I know this ankuntar. But most of the time when the examiner asks you these questions with little bit similar options, you will get confused. Okay, next, in some countries, growth in agriculture contributes more to the GDP, while in some countries, the growth in the service sector contributes. Is it true? Obviously, yes. Because no sector will contribute uniformly across the globe. Few are dominating in agriculture, few are dominating in service. So India is dominating in services sectors. So we are dominating in services sector when compared to other. But most population in India is associated in primary sector. Okay, nice. Modernization. To increase the production of goods and services, the producers have to adopt new technology. For example, a farmer can increase the output on the farm by increasing new seed varieties instead of using the old ones. Obviously, instead of using old ones, enrich varieties. For example, high yield varieties he can use. Genetically modified crops, seeds he can use it. So that will be pest control. Okay, that can be giving you good production, good productivity, drought resistant. Such kind of crops you can produce if the technology is invaded. Next, similarly, a factory can increase output by using a new type of machine. Adopting of new technology is called as modernization. This is very simple. However, modernization does not refer only to the use of new technology but also to the changes in the social outlook. That women should have the same rights as men. Definitely, it is tradition society. Women are supposed to remain at the home while men for work. A modern society makes use of the talents of women in the workplace, in banks, factories, schools, etc. And such a society in most occasions is also prosperous. There is a concept of new woman. There is a concept of new woman. What is the concept of new woman? New woman means women who think beyond the limits, beyond the barriers, beyond the certain externalities which have been added by the patriarchal mindset. They are called as new women. New women means boundaryless. They don't have boundaries. So we are in the world where the concept of new woman is not far. So new woman means what? Participation. New woman means what? Decision making. New woman means what? Fighting for the rights of other women. Because you don't want to fight for your right, because you always feel I am equally given rights. And you are fighting the right for other women. Creating awareness for other women. This is called as new woman. Next, self-reliance. A nation can promote economic growth and modernization by using its own resources or by using resources imported from other nations. The first 7 5-year plans gave importance to self-reliance. Please underline this. This is a term which has been continuously repeated. The first 7 5-year plans gave importance to self-reliance. What is this indirectly meaning? Indirectly meaning means somebody was completely dependent on you, exploited you, made use of your resources. So show it to them that we are not dependent on anyone. We are dependent on ourselves. That is the self-reliance. So for the first 7 years, that is the 7 plans, 7 5-year plan means you will come to 1990. Till 1990, you had a target of self-reliance means not depending on other countries, which means avoiding imports of those goods which could be produced in India itself. This is called as import substitution. You can write on that. This is called as import substitution. Import substitution means depending on yourself rather than depending on other countries. This policy was considered a necessity in order to reduce our dependence on the foreign countries, especially for the food, because during Green Revolution, earlier to Green Revolution, we were facing droughts. Droughts were converted into famines, okay, and you were importing the food grains from USA. PL 480 varieties is what you have imported from United States of America. That will also add to your import bill, okay, because in India, the failure of monsoon in the third 5-year plan. Third 5-year plan started from 1961 to 66. We continued this third 5-year plan. We targeted in third 5-year plan agriculture and industries. But we faced two important issues. Important issue number one, we faced war with China, war with Pakistan. 1962, 1965. 62 with China, 65 with Pakistan. These issues were with respect to border issues. Second, we faced the issues of natural calamities like failure of monsoon. Failure of monsoon initially created drought that converted into famine. Agriculture sector did not perform well. Industrial sector did not perform well. So why industrial sector did not perform well? The budget you allotted for 5 years to industrial sector, you diverted it to defense sector because you were facing wars. So anyways, defense sector allocation was almost nil. Investments were very much nil because you diverted that budget to war, defense, and hence industrial sector did not perform well. But agriculture budget still was in existence. But even though you invested in agriculture sector, it was not supported by monsoon. So we have a famine. This famine made India to fall into food crisis in 1965-66. And hence, first 3 plans we continued, but we took a break because of this major issues. And we did not make the 4th plan. 4th plan we started from 1969. We took a break of 3 years. That is 1966 to 69. 1966 to 69, we took many initiatives. First important initiative is promote industries. Second is promote agriculture. Promotion of agriculture was mainly with Green Revolution. That means now we were importing food grains. We will not be in a position to pay the bill for the imports because why will the US will give us free of cost of the food grains? Because there was a food crisis going on in India. We introduced a concept of high yield varieties. We borrowed the concept of Green Revolution from Mexico under the scientist named Norman Borlaug. And the credit goes to the Indian scientist M.S. Swaminathan. High yield varieties, seeds were introduced in this concept of Green Revolution in the areas where adequate water facilities were given. Where are the adequate water facilities? I have given you the example in the first 5-year plans where you started 3 important irrigation projects. In those areas, we initiated and we introduced Green Revolution. High yield varieties required a good supplements. Good supplements are what? Water, chemicals, pesticides, etc. So, industrial sector also performed well because of Green Revolution. How? Where are you producing seeds? In India. Where are you producing fertilizers, chemicals? In India. Agriculture produced employment, production, income to the farmers, increase in the production of food grains. Plus, industries contributed to the growth, generation of employment, production of these seeds, chemical fertilizers to supply to the agriculture upsells. So that is the reason 1966 to 69 is an unforgettable years for India. These are called as annual plans. Annual plans, why? We took a break from the planning that was from 1966 to 69. When we took a break, for 3 years we took a break. 66 to 67, 67 to 68, 68 to 69. These 3 years are the favorite years of whom? Agriculture, UPSC. Why? Many questions are expected and many questions were asked in these 3 years. Major reforms with respect to industries, major reforms with respect to agriculture, major reforms with respect to Factories Act, major reforms with respect to, that is the most important, that's the banking, were also initiated in this. Okay, next. Self-reliance is done. Equity. Now, growth, modernization and self-reliance by them may not improve the kind of life which people are living. A country can have high growth, the most modern technology developed in the country itself, and also have most of its people living in the poverty. Equitable distribution of resources is the target of the country. Equitable distribution of resources. It is important to ensure that the benefits of the economic prosperity reach the poor sections as well, instead of being enjoyed only by the rich people. So, in addition to growth, modernization and self-reliance, equity is also important. Every Indian should be able to meet his or her basic needs. This I have already told you, those are social requirements. Okay, next let us now see how the first 7 5-year plans covering the period of 1950 to 1990 attempted to attain these four goals and the extent to which they succeeded in doing so with reference to agriculture, industry and trade. Now what we are going to study, we are targeting the topics like agriculture, industry, how agriculture was given higher importance in which of the following plan. See, remember one thing, there is no plan which has left agriculture. Will you accept this? There will be no plan which has been left agriculture as a subject, because every plan targeted what? Obviously agriculture. Every year in the budget will target what? Agriculture. So there is no excuse for agriculture, provided there is also no excuse for industry, poverty, social expenditures, social requirements, etc. So if you look at agriculture, you have learned in chapter 1 that during the colonial rule, there was neither growth nor equity in the agriculture sector. The policymakers of independent India had to address this issue, which they did through land reforms and promoting the use of high yield variety seeds, which ushered in the revolution in Indian agriculture. So what is talking about? Two important things he has notified here. One is green revolution, one is land reforms. Why are land reforms important? What is the definition of a land? Someone asks you like, what is land reforms? Define land reforms. When people ask what is land reforms, people answer every farmer is facing some issue. He should have an increased income, etc. I'm asking what is land reform? You're asking about income of father. You're talking about income of father. I'm asking what is land reform? Land reform means reforms which should be made in the distribution of the land so that a person with landless should be given a land, a piece of land, minimum piece of land. That is, in case of the farmer, it should be an agricultural land. Now what is land reform? Distribution of land to the landless is called as a land reform. That's it. No complication. Land reforms, at the time of independence, the land tenure system was characterized by intermediaries, variously called zamindars, jagirdars, who merely collected rent from the actual tillers of the soil without contributing towards improvement on the farm. The low productivity of the agriculture sector forced India to import food from USA. Equity in agriculture called land reforms, which primarily refer to change in the ownership of the land holding. Just a year after independence, steps were taken to abolish intermediaries and to make the tillers the owners of the lands. What is the other definition of land reforms? Tillers. Tillers should be given the land. Land should be on the name of cultivators. That means whoever is cultivating, they should have the land. That should give them some basic source of income. And land reforms we have brought because we have discussed in last chapter about zamindaris, okay, about Raitwari and Mahalwari. Raitwari and Mahalwari I will tell you later. Zamindari never gave absolute rights to the farmers, because in the zamindars, why are we calling zamindars? What is meaning of dar? Tahsildar, tahuddar, zamindar. What is the meaning of dar? Dar means by the virtue of the position you hold the land. You are the owner of the land. You represent that land. Tahsildar. Tahsildar, representing revenue department. Dar. Dar means virtue of your position, you hold the responsibility to collect revenue from the land. This is called as Tahsildar. Zamindar means owner of the land. Zameen. Zameen means land. Dar means by virtue of the position, this position is giving you an ownership of the land. but you are the ownership. Dar means position. Dar means the virtue you hold. The virtue you hold, this virtue will give you a right on the piece of land. This virtue will give you right. That means you gave land to the farmers and you are a zamindar. Dar gives a virtue, it gives a position to hold the land, it gives you a right to collect taxes. Tahsildar, appointed by the government. Tahuddar, contractor. Dar, position. By the position, by the virtue of that position, you will collect the taxes. And you are as the head of the zameen, so you are collecting the taxes from the zameen. Nowhere zamindar, by his position, by the virtue of his position, nowhere he will make the tiller as the owner. He is not the tiller, but he is the owner. So what we will study in the agriculture reforms, who has to be the owner? Tiller has to be owner. So zamindar is an intermediary between the government and the tiller. He is an intermediary, but he claims to be his an owner by the virtue of his position. So what we have done? Abolition of Intermediaries Act. We have brought this and we removed this zamindar. When we remove this zamindar, remaining land will be taken by the government, and whoever is a tiller, he will be made owner by giving him some percentage. Remaining land will be taken away, will be redistributed to landless. So that to whomever it is redistributed, there the farmer is a tiller, for him ultimate owner will only be the government. No one will be the intermediate. So in between the land and the government, it should be only the tiller. It should only be the farmer, and there should not be any intermediaries. No intermediaries should exist. Intermediaries, who are the intermediaries? Zamindar is the intermediate. So they expelled him. Is it clear what is dar? What is the meaning of dar then? That's it. By the virtue of his position, he will hold that land. I am the owner. That's it. It will give the ownership. Next, equity in agriculture called land reforms, which primarily refer to change in the ownership of the land holdings. Just a year after independence, steps were taken to abolish intermediaries. So abolition of intermediaries means whom we are targeting? Zamindars we are targeting. Abolition intermediaries, and to make the tillers the owner of the land. What is the second definition of land reforms? First definition of land reform is distribution of land to landless. Second definition is abolition of intermediaries and make the tiller as a owner of the land. This is the definition of land reforms. Just a year after independence, steps were taken. The idea behind the move was the ownership of the land would give incentives to the tillers to invest in making improvements, provided sufficient capital was made available to them. See, it is not about distribution of land. You will distribute the land, but weaker section, how will they cultivate the land where they do not have any capital amount? We started giving them land. We made them owners, but they don't have capital amount. When they do not have capital amount, how will they start agriculture activity? That is the reason so many governments has come up with the programs now. The state government like land purchase scheme, land distribution scheme. What are these schemes? Land purchase scheme means anyone who is willing to sell the lands can come forward and sell the land to the government. And what the government will do? It will distribute the land free of cost to the landless. For example, in Telangana, they started distributing 3 acres of land to these SC families on the name of the woman, so that the woman can hold 3 acres of land. But what will the woman will do? What will the family will do with the piece of land unless until you have something capital amount in your hand to start agriculture? So government also promised that I will give you a capital amount of up to 2 lakhs. Take this 2 lakhs amount and start bringing some sort of machinery, equipments, so that you can start agriculture activity. Then it becomes, then the objective will become fulfilled. It's not about only giving land. It is about giving land and giving compensation to start agriculture activity. Then the women will start performing agriculture. Post Green Revolution, immense participation of women has increased in agriculture activity. This is called as feminization of Indian agriculture. People in the mains, you should write such kind of terms so that they can pour lot of marks. Feminization of Indian agriculture means in the absence of men, women took active participation in the agriculture activity. Then where did the men go? Where did the men go? Men went to participate in Green Revolution, in the agriculture activity, because Green Revolution was adopted only in few areas. So how was the country divided? Green Revolution area, non-Green Revolution area. Green Revolution area, area which is blessed with water. Non-Green Revolution area, area without water. Area which is depending on monsoon. In such places, I cannot invest Green Revolution. Why I have to put it water? Because high yield varieties require large scale water. Wherever water is there, their Green Revolution is there. Krishna Godavari, alright, Kaveri region, Sutlej region. These regions performed very well in Green Revolution because water facilities is very high. No water facilities, non-Green Revolution. Now, non-Green Revolution men in these areas started migrating to Green Revolution areas for the work. In the absence of men, who will take responsibility of agriculture? Women started taking responsibility. This is a very important point, and this is called as feminization of Indian agriculture system. For the first time, immense participation, large scale participation of women took place post 1966. Okay. Next, land ceiling was another policy to promote equity in the agricultural sector. This means fixing the maximum size of land which could be owned by an individual. The purpose of land ceiling was to reduce the concentration of the land ownership in few hands. What is the meaning of land ceiling? I have expelled zamindar. When I have expelled zamindar, it is only the government and it is will be tiller. I cannot give large scale land to the tiller because now he will become zamindar again. I have to put him some conditions. That conditions is called as ceiling. Ceiling means what? How much percentage a person can hold the percentage or a piece of land. I am expelling zamindar means I am not removing zamindar. Zamindar will hold land, but not that percentage of land which you used to previously held. Earlier the zamindar was having 40 acres. Now he will not have 40 acres. Government will put some ceiling. It will take a ceiling to 10 acres. Now this zamindar will have only 10 acres. 30 acres low, whoever was the tiller, that tiller will get the 10 acres. Remaining 20 acres will be taken by the government. This is the ceiling. And this 20 will be redistributed to the landers. Okay. Now this land ceiling is very important. See, look at the next paragraph. The abolition of intermediaries mean that some 200 lakh tenants came into direct contact with the government. They were thus freed from being exploited by the zamindars. The ownership conferred on tenants gave them the incentives to increase output, and this contributed to growth in agriculture. Now we saw they were peasants, they were tenants, they were farmers who were actually working. So when I redistributed piece of land, I could see large scale of people participated in the agriculture activity. It is very clear now, it is my land. I have to protect my land. I have to produce from my land, and there was a large scale participation. This large scale participation has increased the production. Okay. Next, the ownership conferred on the tenants gave them the incentives to increase the output. However, the goal of equity was not fully served by abolition of intermediaries. In some areas, the former zamindars continued to own large areas of land by making use of some loopholes in the legislation. There were cases where tenants were evicted and the land owners claimed to be self-cultivators. So this is one very interesting point you should understand. When the government came to know that they were zamindars who were exploiting the tillers. So tillers will be given land. Dunnevade bhumi, that's it. That means the person who is a tiller, he will be getting a piece of land. Now what will I do? This person will get a piece of land, then the zamindar will expel the tenant from the piece of land by threatening him, stating that I only cultivated my land, so I am the owner of this land. Second case, you may think now anyways zamindar is getting 10 acres. What is that need of threatening the farmer took it? I will put my family member as a farmer, as a tenant, so that one of the family member will be working there on the piece of land. He could actually get the 10 acres, and I can show that, sir, even I am tilling this, I am the owner, give me 10 acres. So instead of getting 10 acres, now he has got 20 acres. Imagine he could put actually somewhere around 4 to 5 members like such, he will get 50 acres. That is the reason government has worked very hard to take away the land's abolition of intermediates, but this was very partial. So when we discuss completely about the land reforms chapter, we will discuss two phases of land reform till 1970, post 1970. People have chosen so many loopholes to save the land. Land means status. I have to save the land at any cost. I cannot give it back. I started making transactions on the known people's name, unknown people's name to safeguard my land, so that the land will not be given to the government. So here there were cases where tenants were evicted to be self-cultivators, again claiming ownership of the land, and even when the tillers got ownership of the land, the poorest of agricultural laborers, such as the sharecroppers and landless, did not benefit from land reforms. How will they get land reforms? How will they get benefit unless and until you voluntarily come out and give it? Two important states where land reforms were successful. One is West Bengal, other one is Kerala. Very important. Why? Because contribution, understanding of the people made them voluntarily to come out. There were so many nationalist leaders participated in the land reforms, stating that the land which you have in surplus needs to be given back to the government. It will come back to your brother. It will come back to your brother farmer, or it will come back to the one of the farmer who could be a distant person also, but someone is getting the benefit. Bhudan movement. Bhudan, Bhumi Danam, Bhudan. That means giving away the excess land, started by Acharya Vinoba Bhave. Okay, Bhudan movement also one successful. In the northern states like Bihar, West Bengal, etc., where excess land were given to voluntary donation. Now imagine if you have 20 acres of land, 10 acres is agriculture, 10 acres is non-agriculture. Which one you will hand over to the government? Non-agriculture. This is also one problem. This is one genuine problem, that I cannot pull agriculture land from you. I cannot allot non-agriculture land to you. Government has got non-agriculture land. Who will take the non-agriculture land? The farmer at that point of time may reject non-agriculture land because it does not have any productivity. The land ceiling legislation also faced many hurdles. First one, the big landlord challenged the legislation in the courts, delaying its implementation. They used this delay to register their lands in the names of close relatives. Okay, thereby escaping from the legislation. The legislation also had a lot of loopholes which were exploited by the big landholders to retain their lands. Land reforms were successful. I have just told this point. It was successful in which states? Kerala and West Bengal, because these states had the governments committed to the policy of land to the tillers. Unfortunately, other states did not have the same level of commitment, and vast inequality in land holding continues to this day. What West Bengal followed, very important policy, that is the Operation Barka. What is Operation Barka? Operation Barka means first identifying the sharecroppers, identifying the peasants who do not have single percentage of land. Barka ma BARQA. Operation Barka. Operation Barka, where I will first identify how many set of people are there who do not hold a single percentage of land. I know my state territory. I know my state area. I know my state population. So I know how much area the government is required to build its own capital city. Okay, the remaining, I know what is the percentage of agriculture lands. If the peasants are out, if the farmers are out, if the sharecroppers are out, the tenants are out, tillers, all these are tillers who are out. Coming to the government account, that we are the people who don't hold single percentage but we belong to this state, then government will consider them the remaining population and remaining area. That means on an average people are holding more percentage of area in single units, means per person there is a huge area of land. So you please come out from your land area and register with us what is the percentage of land you hold. Then slowly the large scale farmers, medium farmers has come out, they registered the percentage of the land, government has put a ceiling on them, redistributed the land to landless. That's why West Bengal is very successful, and the program which has introduced is called as Operation Barka. So these are very important prelims bits which can be asked. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll start with green revolution tomorrow. Okay, and when we meet, I think there is one more box. Is there any box which is missed? 2.5 is missed. Mahalanobi is missed. 2.4 is missed. Okay, we'll first start with the boxes, and we'll try to complete this boxes. Okay.